It's Monday. Monday. Oh, the video, subscribe, more intros, Mr. Vulture slowly going insane. Yeah, well, I got my cup of coffee. I'm going insane. Let's have a talk. Going insane. Got my watch. I got this thing right here. I don't even know what this is, to be honest with you. I got a pair of scissors. The remote control to the 4K television. I got headphones. Upon headphones. I don't too much going on, you know what I mean? There's too much going on. I got a pencil. Look at it, Dante. It's a Ticonderoga. It's the best pencil in the world. What do you think about that? Look at this. I got an Xbox right here. Right there. Right there. Xbox. I even have a bike reflector. Don't even ask me why I have one of these. This is what I got. How's everyone doing today on this wonderful Monday? The weather outside, right, Caitlin? Hi, Caitlin. The weather outside is just bonkers. Those of you who haven't been outside, get out of the cave. Get outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, get out of your house. Go see the sun. It's this big ball of fire in the sky. It's nice. Don't look right at it, though. You'll go, don't look right at it. Just feel it on your skin. You know what I mean? Wearing sunscreen. Yeah. Hi, Allie Gilroy. Hi, Vicky. Sophia Montesanto is in the chat too. I saw her. So we got people rolling in now. I was on my boat on Saturday and I looked right at the sun. That doesn't sound good, James. Doesn't sound good at all. Haven't seen the sun in years. Well, Ryan Standard, let me draw you a picture. Ready? It looks kind of like this. All right, here we go. We're gonna use a Post-it note. All right. I got my big yellow. It's yellow. I know, it's some green and yellow. So there we go. And we're going to do a giant... There you go. Ryan. The sun. There you go. Don't say I never did nothing for you. Then I caught a fish, so I guess I will stare at the sun for the rest of time in order for me to catch more fish. Did you let the fish go, or did you eat the fish? How's your day? Well, it's 10:08. My day's all right. I feel good today, Allie. I do. I was thinking about maybe going for a little run in the woods later. I'm not sure. Allie. Figure it out. The weather's so nice, you know? Just kind of go with the flow. It was a little short. The fish was a little short? Hi, Sophia. Christian, you're in PA? Whoa, Christian, so you telling me right now that I'm a New York teacher teaching across state lines? Because I don't know if that's allowed, Christian. I gotta check my my book on that one. I don't have a book, but I'll check something. Cheesy chicken. I don't think that when I eat chicken, there should be cheese, unless it's mozzarella. Just like a half an inch short. So you had to throw him back. I hear you. What did Dante do? Barris was in New York. Again, Dante with the Barris. Look, he got timed out already. First thing you comment, Dante, huh? Yeah, interesting. So today we're going to learn about modern day terrorism. Tomorrow we're going to learn about 9/11. And the September 11th attacks. And so I thought before I did that, I would start with like why terrorism became something that was used as a tool to fight people, and why it rose throughout the 1980s, 90s, 2000s, leading with the September 11th attacks on 2001. Look at this. Barris got... Look. Here he goes again. Stop saying Barris, dude. Like, Dante, what are you doing? I'm back from North Carolina. Thank the Lord, Barry. We were worried about you down there. I wasn't. I watched a movie about Malcolm X this weekend. Excellent. Did he say we didn't land on Plymouth Rock? Plymouth Rock landed on us. Did he say that? Because that's a good movie. I like that movie. I watched a movie about nothing this weekend. Well, that's okay. Yeah. All right. So how's everyone doing? Allie, how is your day going so far? I feel like I should have fun. Your day's fun? Or are you saying there? Listen, if I read the chat too much, you guys make no sense. It's like being in like a loony bin where it's just information that makes zero sense, fellas and ladies. Why would we make sense? That's a great question, James. See, even that question doesn't make sense, I guess. Because you have to have purpose. Your day's going good? Allie, what time do you wake up in the morning on average? Just curious. Hey, Allie. Allie, the other Allie. Can we do songs with the weirdest videos for Fun Day Friday? I guess so. Sure. 7? What? 7? You mistyped. You meant to type 9, right? But you wrote 7? Because I got to be honest with you. I've been waking up at like 8 to 9. I wake up. I get my coffee. No, that's not true. I wake up. I take a shower. I get my coffee. I come down in the cave. Turn the lights on. Get the show started. That's what I do. Has anyone really been far even as decided to use even go want to look more like? That's just great, Derek. Thank you for sharing that. I feel like we're all much more intelligent now because we read Derek's comment and it made no sense. Thank you, Derek. Those are rookie numbers. I've been waking up at 5? What? Oh my lord. Who's mean? I'm mean? See? You don't... Oh, you meant to write mean. I mean I wake up at 6. That's not true. You guys are all a bunch of fibbers. It's a bunch of fibbers. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised right now if Allie Gilroy is still asleep and she's typing she has a time machine and she woke up at like noon and got in the time machine just to write this. I'm bad. I'm late. Oh, well, that's okay, Steven. Steven, is Spencer in the chat or is it just you? Because if that's the true, you're the better brother. Don't tell him I said that, though. Unless he's in the chat. And if he's in the chat, then you're not the better brother. You're tied. Unless he was here first. Whoever was here first is the better brother. Try to say better brother like 5 times fast. It's not easy. Tell Spencer he's cut off. He's done. Throwing him out. Did everyone do their graduation slide? Great question, Allie. Did everyone do their graduation slide? Because I'm not going to touch it yet until like probably Wednesday. Today I got to edit your teacher videos, which are like the teacher awards, which are going to be super special in all the awards. So I like kind of know who's getting the awards. And I'm not saying nothing, so don't ask. Olivia! Hi, Olivia. All right, Steven, as long as Spencer's not still in bed, that's what was the point. You know what I'm saying? That's what I meant. Olivia, what time do you wake up in the morning, Olivia? I'm thinking like Olivia's got to be like the early bird gets the worm. I'm thinking 7:35. There's a lot of awards this year. I think we're giving out a little bit more awards than normal. So it's like 2 to 3 per class. 8. See, Olivia, that's a normal time to wake up. That is a normal time. He's doing other work right now. Well, I guess he just doesn't seem that he doesn't feel like social studies is important, huh, Steven? Huh. Or is he in the room and he can hear this? Because if that's the true, hi, Spencer. 7:35 isn't early to me. Well, Derek, apparently you made sense on that one, so that's all I can say. You don't know. No. I don't know. I've lost my train. All right, you guys ready for the lesson today? All right, so first things first. I did a Google Classroom assignment. So if you go to Google Classroom, you go to Question of the Week, right? We have a new one. Click on this guy. There we go. And again, just like last week, I gave a reading with questions. So Monday and Tuesday is a reading with questions. It's modern fighting and religious conflicts, which talk all about the rise of terrorism in different areas around the world. And then you have questions to answer. I've attached a Google Doc that looks like this. So you're going to write all of your stuff here. And then on the bottom, you'll do Wednesday. Wednesday, we'll have a thinking question. And Thursday, we'll have like another handout type question. I did the cartoon the other week. But this Thursday is not going to be as short as last Thursday. So yeah, the virtual lesson title is still in the middle of the screen. I know. We'll leave it there for right now. We'll leave it there until I get rid of it. There we go. It is now gone. And I didn't know, actually. I'm fibbing. And then so there's your, where's the question today? Here, no, where? What? Oh, here we go. Boom. So there you go. And by the way, Wednesday, even though I gave you the doc that says like the questions on it, also write all of your answers for all of the questions of the week in the same doc. It makes it much easier for me to grade when I actually have to grade this stuff. Okay, good. Excellent. So today what we're going to be talking about is like modern day terrorism, all right, and the rise of modern day terrorism. And the truth is that terrorism is not necessarily super modern. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, right? Terrorism has always been a thing where like the weaker side uses violence through guerrilla tactics, right, to fight, because they can't fight and win by fighting fairly. All right, in the American Revolution, the American colonists couldn't really be considered a colonist fighting force was not up to the standard of the British Army. You know, the British Royal Navy and the British Army was the strongest country in the world, and there's no way that a bunch of riffraff colonist farmers who weren't trained in the military could be able to fight with the richest, most powerful country in the world, England. And so when we fought the American Revolution, we had our Continental Army, and they were trained, but a lot of the fighting going on was through guerrilla tactics on Long Island, down south, all over the place. And these guerrilla tactics were hit and run, ambushes, terrorist-like tactics. And so you could say that we used guerrilla warfare, but what the British called it was terrorism. We also tar and feathered British tax collectors. So like in New York City, if you were a British person who came to the colonists as like the leader of New York City, and you're going to collect British taxes, the Sons of Liberty in Boston and other groups went around and they would actually tar and feather, meaning they would strip you naked. They would pour boiling hot tar over your body, melting your skin, and then they would throw feathers on you. And a lot of times, either you were permanently scarred from the event, or you actually died from infection, things like this, because this is before antibiotics. So, and honestly, even today, I bet you people would die from it, even with antibiotics. So it's pretty crazy. Now, so the terrorism tactics have always been a thing. It's when weaker countries or weaker groups of people, it doesn't have to be a country, feel the need to fight. As what has changed, though, I would say in modern times, is that you have religious extremism being mixed in with it, right? And it's not just the Middle East. We'll get to the Middle East and Islamic extremists, but there are also Christian extremists, like in Northern Ireland, okay? So in Northern Ireland, which is what a little bit of your reading is about, during the 1980s and 1990s, basically Northern Ireland was England, okay? So if we look at a map here, let me see if I can bring up a map. How's the music sound so far? Derek, is the music too loud? No, I like it. It's good. All right, here we go. Let's bring up a map. All right, so if we bring up a map of Ireland, let's take a look. Here we go. So right here. All right, so here, let's zoom out a little bit, right? Here we have the United Kingdom, which is Scotland in the north, right? England, Wales in the south. And then you have Ireland, which is not part of the United Kingdom, but this northern part, you can see a line right here. My head's kind of in the way. There we go. You see this little gray line? Let me zoom in on it. There we go. This green line right here. That separates Ireland from Northern Ireland. And Northern Ireland is considered to be a part of the United Kingdom. And here's the thing. Under Henry VIII, the United Kingdom broke away from the Catholic Church, right? And created the Church of England because Henry liked to divorce his wives, right? We know this story. Henry VIII I am. Henry VIII I am. I got married to the widow next door. Anyway, the point is, Henry kept getting married, and he kept asking the Pope if he could have a divorce. And eventually the Pope said, no, Henry, bad Henry, can't have a divorce. And so what happened is Henry was like, no, I'm the King of England. The Pope can't tell me what to do. So he's going to break away from the Catholic Church, and he's going to create a church that's very similar to Catholicism, but they obviously don't listen to the Pope, called the Church of England. And so Northern Ireland becomes Protestant with England. Okay, the rest of Ireland is Catholic. And what happens is this creates the IRA, the English Republic Army, English starts with E, IRA, right? The Irish Republic Army, or the NIRA, which is the Northern Irish Republic Army. And basically what they're going to do is they're going to start to fight against England, because they're Catholics living in Northern Ireland in a Protestant area, and they become religious extremists, and they want Catholics to control Northern Ireland. They want Northern Ireland to go back to that, and so they're going to be fighting England. But again, they can't. They're not even a country, right? This isn't Ireland fighting Northern Ireland. This is Northern Ireland people fighting the English in Northern Ireland, and so they're going to use hit and run tactics, bombs. They're going to attack British soldiers in the open, and they're going to commit terrorism, okay? And so you guys will read about Bloody Sunday and things like that. The thing about it, though, is, right, these are Christian extremists. Now, there's a political divide here, but that's one thing we're going to learn about when we talk about the Middle East. There's always politics involved, right? We like to think of, like, ISIS as being a religious extreme group that are fighting and committing terrorism because of religious reasons, which is all true. But there are political reasons too. Like, ISIS wants to control the area. ISIS wants to get Western non-Islamic countries out of the Middle East and out of their land. So it's not just religious. It's religious ideas with a political backing, okay? So you guys are going to do that. Also in Africa, there's tons of terrorist groups in Africa, right? As Europe has influence in Africa and as they colonize Africa, right? You have different African groups on the Gold Coast, on the down in South Africa, on the Horn of Africa, which is again what your reading is going to be about. Where you're going to have Muslim Africans and Christian Africans fighting against each other for control of different regions. You can have different like tribal warrior groups fighting against other tribal groups. And again, if they feel like they can't fight on equal footing, they're going to resort to terrorism, because they don't care how they win. They just want to win. This is why comparing sports or video games to actual war in real life doesn't make sense. Okay, think about this. In a sport, so like I know a lot of you girls play soccer, right? So my soccer fans out there. Soccer, there are two teams. How many? Who plays soccer? Ali Gilroy, you play soccer? Are you a soccer girl? How many players are on a team on the field at once? I'm not a soccer fan. I don't know. I'm not a soccer fan. I need a soccer fan in the room. Oh, you do. Ali, how many players on the field at once for girls soccer? 11? All right, so you have 11 on each side, right, Steven? Okay, 11 on each side. So one's a goalie and you have 10 players on the field. How many goals does each side have? How many nets? Just one, right? So think about it. They have one net. They have 10 players. Everything's equal. Everything's equal. They even have to follow the same rules, right? That's why you have referees. So if you have one player is breaking rules, they're gonna red card them, right? And you have if another player on the other team is breaking rules, they're gonna red card them. So it's an even playing field. That's my point, right? That's what makes sports so fun. Is there are rules that everyone has to follow. Everyone has the same amount of players, and you see which team is gonna be better. That is not real war. Real war does not do that. Real war does not have the same amount of players. Real war does not have the same rules. Real war doesn't care about being on equal ground or being fair. Real war is simply about one thing and one thing only, and that is winning. That's it. Doesn't matter if you cheat. Doesn't matter if you, if one side is completely has a huge advantage or has too many numbers. You know, think of the You have groups of like 150 people fighting against an army of 10,000 people. Right? That's not fair. That's not 10 soccer players versus 10 soccer players. Think about when you play Fortnite, when you play Battle Royale games, or when you play Call of Duty, right? Everyone has the same access to the same weapons. There's the same amount of players on each team or each squad, right? And everyone, for the most part, follows the same rules. Again, that's not real war. Try playing a Fortnite where there's 100 players, or try playing like a Call of Duty match where there's 100 players and 99 players are against you. So you die, they all win. You have to kill 99 people to win. That's what real war's like. It's not fair. All right? And that's something that you have to, I know it sounds simple, but you have to get that, you have to understand that. Because that explains terrorism. You know? That explains why people are willing to do horrible things because they want to win. Think of Vietnam. There's stories in Vietnam where they would have, the North Vietnamese would have booby traps. We learned about them. I had you guys draw pictures of booby traps. We didn't do booby traps. The United States military didn't place booby traps in the jungle because we had tanks and helicopters and advanced weaponry, right? And military trained platoons. The Vietnamese couldn't do that. The Vietnamese couldn't fight an American platoon one-on-one. They would lose. Even if they started to win, what would the American platoon do? They would pull back and call in rocket strikes or helicopter strikes. There's no way the North Vietnamese could fight the Americans on equal footing and expect to win. So what did they do? They dug holes in the ground, they placed booby traps, they put bombs in restaurants in Saigon, and they used terrorist and guerrilla warfare tactics to try to defeat the Americans. Now, everything up to this point I've been talking about has been military-based. But we're going to learn how modern terrorism shifts. Think of 9/11, right? It shifts away from attacking military targets and starts to focus on attacking civilian targets. And this is where modern terrorism has gone today, right? And sometimes people don't even understand like how this makes sense. But I'll try to explain why they, not that it's right, it's not right, but why they do it and why it's so hard to fight it. See, when you mix in religious fanaticism, they start to fight against not a military. They start to fight against a culture, right? For example, let's use Al-Qaeda or ISIS, right? ISIS isn't fighting against the United States per se. ISIS is fighting against the way we live. The way we believe, the things we believe in. We believe in freedom. We believe in equal rights for females. We believe in that people have a right to, date before they get married and choose who they're going to get married. And if they don't like who they marry, they can get a divorce. And all these things that we do in our society that we think are part of our freedom and ultimately make our lives, they are against. And so they don't view the United States military as necessarily the army. They view our military as a tool that we use to push our culture on people. They view us as the enemy, our way of life. And so when they attack us, they attack our way of life. So when ISIS attacks a city street in Paris, and they go to restaurants, they go to nightclubs, right? And they shoot up the place, killing innocent people and children. It's terrible, right? They're doing this because they want to attack our culture. And this is what makes it so difficult to fight terrorism, because anyone can be a target. When I was in the military, we used to talk about soft targets. And what a soft target is where terrorists often will attack the area not defended. So if you put soldiers on a street, they're not going to attack the street. They won't even try. They'll see the soldiers and they won't even attack. They'll go to the street where soldiers aren't, and they'll attack that street, because then they can attack the culture, and they can attack the people, and they can make everyone scared of them, and they can make everyone get punished, so to speak. But they never have to actually engage with the military or the police. And here's the problem: there's not enough soldiers or not enough police to put on every street across everywhere. You know what I mean? And so they do this. 9/11. I always tell my students when we talk about 9/11, that like, why was it September 11th? Now there's a lot of conspiracy theories about this. They say 9/11, right? September 11th. But that's again, you have to understand. Al-Qaeda had no idea what 9/11 is. They didn't pick that day because of 9/11. That was a coincidence. The reason why they picked 9/11 is far less spectacular. The reason they picked 9/11 as the day to attack is because it's not a special day. It's not. There's no holiday. There's no business. There's no extra security. It is a random day, not important up until 9/11 happens, obviously. Now it's a holiday, so to speak, or now it's a day that we remember. But before 9/11 happened, it was just a day. And so they looked at that day and they said it's a soft target, right? People were not expecting anything, any type of threat to happen on that random, not important day. And that's why they picked that day. So it makes fighting terrorism a lot harder than fighting any type of other organization or any type of military or any type of country, because they can attack anyone and they feel like that is valuable. Misville just said they shoot up nightclubs and kill innocent people and children, which would have to be in the clubs. Well, they do restaurants too, right? I mean, they bombs. You guys know this stuff. I don't need to go over the history of like exactly. We all live in the world, you know. School shootings could be considered a version of terrorism, depending on if it's in a college campus and things like that, and the reasons behind it. So, again, it's a scary situation, but as your reading is going to show you, it's been going on pretty consistently since the 1970s, 1980s. And again, it's more about attacking a way of life. They even attacked, and it starts this early. I don't think I have an article. Your article is not about this. But during the Olympic Games in Germany, a terrorist came in and killed like the entire Israeli Olympic team. Athletes, right? Jewish Israeli athletes, and they were all killed. And the reason why they were killed, right? You would say, why would anyone do that? These are athletes that aren't political. They just play their sports. But the reason why they did that is because it's a way of life, right? They're attacking that way of life. They're telling the Israeli Jews at that time that we don't like your people. And that's kind of where it stems. And that's why it's important to fight terrorism, because terrorism, and 9/11 showed us this, you can't ignore it. It's not like, should we go to war in Iran or should we not go to war in Iran? Because if we don't go to war in Iran, you know, it's like Iran, they have terrorism in Iran, but Iran, the country, is not necessarily a terrorist group. So if you don't go to war with a country, they're not necessarily going to come out and attack you. But terrorists will, right? It doesn't matter if you declare war on them or not. They will attack. 9/11 showed that, and that's why it's, whether you like it or not, you have to do something about ISIS or terrorism, because they're just going to keep attacking. He's wearing a green shirt.
Galaxy. I'm just a Galaxy dude.
All right, so how about the episode of The Simpsons where Bart has the magazine that costs $9 with the Twin Towers in the background, making it look like 9/11? Yeah, well, that's artists and people and conspiracy theorists and things like that. But you know what? People always want answers, and the truth is, there's not always answers. You know, people want answers. They don't like it when things are random or when things just happen. For example, there was a famous actress. My wife and I just watched this show about Natalie Wood, and Natalie Wood was a famous actress from like the 1950s and 60s. She was in Miracle on 34th Street. She was the little girl. And when Natalie Wood got to be like middle-aged, she fell off a boat and drowned. And everybody didn't understand how that could happen. How could a grown woman fall off a boat and drown? There had to be a conspiracy behind it. There had to be a reason, right? It can't just be bad luck. So they blamed her husband. They blamed funny business. Everyone had this excuse like it was murder and all this stuff. When the truth is, it was probably just unfortunate. It was an unfortunate situation where she probably fell off the boat, hit her head or something, and drowned. But people want answers, and they don't like it when there are no answers, right? People don't like it that, like, why would terrorists attack 9/11? And the answer is because they're crazy, fanatical people who wanted to attack innocent people, and they chose the World Trade Center because it was fairly a soft target. And That's it. They didn't choose it for any greater reason. They didn't choose. There was no conspiracy. The government didn't plan it. The government didn't, blow the buildings up. There was no. They didn't choose 9/11 because it meant 9/11. It's people are looking for answers that aren't there because we as humans, we want answers, right? We don't like it when something just happens that's bad. And sometimes that's the way it is, right? We don't like it when there's really not a good answer. That's my answer to that one. So according to Derek and Tyler, the Simpsons are prophets and they predict the future. As a movie character once said, you want the truth, you can't handle the truth. Well, it's not about the truth. Yeah, I mean, it's not about you can't handle the truth. It's more about like, you might not like the truth. You want the truth, you won't like it. The truth is, the world is a difficult place. Even if you do all the right things, let's say you study in school, you don't do drugs, you have a good family, it still can be difficult. And so when you mess up, when you stop studying, when you stop going to school, stop focusing on schoolwork, when you get involved in drugs or a bad crowd, when you don't have the best parents, it just adds to the difficulty because it's already difficult. Look at this coronavirus. Coronavirus is the classic example of it just being people want answers. So it has to be China's fault. Someone has to be to blame for this. Someone messed up and we have to point the finger and we have to blame someone. When the truth is, it's a medical emergency that happened. We kind of knew it was possible. And no one's really to blame. Even if certain people didn't do what they were supposed to do early enough, it wouldn't have prevented this. This is a medical situation that happens from time to time. It happened in 1918 with the Spanish flu. And it's just unfortunate. There is no answer to it. That's the truth. It just happens. It's like a thunderstorm, right? A thunderstorm, you could be getting married or it could be your birthday, and a thunderstorm could ruin your birthday. But there's no reason behind it. It's just random. And people want answers. This may sound weird, but why did they strike more towards the top of the Twin Towers and not the bottom? I don't know, James. I don't know. I think they just tried to hit the tower, and they did what they did. I don't think there was a reason behind it. You know what I mean? I don't think they chose that where. I think they flew as low as they could to hit the tower, and that's my opinion. But again, I don't know. And no one will ever find out because the people who did that died. They could have done a dive bomb. Well, again, we don't know. Maybe, Yes, it was definitely China. They were waging biological war, disregarding the Geneva Convention clearly because it started in China. It's China's fault. Well, Tyler, some people believe that. And maybe, I would, But the point is, even if it was China, and China... it wasn't biological warfare. That's fake. That's fake news, right? They pretty much have proven it was not biological warfare. Even scientists have come out and said that it could not have been engineered in a lab. We don't have the technology for that. But maybe it is China's fault in spreading it as quickly, but it's not China's fault. Like that it happened. It would have happened anyway. Yes, my son's hand is floating. No questions. Floating hand, haunted hand. What if someone has green eyes with a green screen? They would have to use a blue screen. That's why some screens are blue screens, some screens are green screens. Alright, so that's that. I do have a little video I want to show us. Here we go. So this is a PBS. This is not copyright free. Let me get rid of Volger's. And I'm only going to show this for like 5 minutes, but basically what this is interesting. This is the making and unmaking of an Islamic terrorist. So this is a Canadian kid who gets involved in like extreme Islamic terrorism pre 9/11, and how he talks about why he did it and then why he got out of it. And it's really interesting. I'm going to let it play for like 5 minutes, and then we'll come back after the fact. Here we go. Let me take myself off the screen. Let me mute myself. I gotta mute the music. Hold on. Alright, here we go.
One day, I was walking and I saw some guys from afar, beards, turban. As I started to come close, I realized these guys are armed. They have rocket-propelled grenades, machine guns, belts of ammunition. And so I gave them my spiel of, this is how you change the world. They listened politely, and then he picked up his AK-47. He says, this is how you change the world. And we're doing that right now. And I thought to myself, wow. And I was completely enamored by them at that stage. I was bit by the jihadi bug, as I call it. This is where I grew up. I lived on the 5th floor of that building.
The son of immigrants from India, Mubin Sheikh grew up and still lives in the Silverthorne neighborhood, about 10 miles from downtown Toronto.
It's actually largely Italian, Portuguese, like European background. But you have now people from all over. Blacks, Asians, brown Asians.
He lived in several worlds. His parents are observant, conservative Muslims.
You know, I lived like a cliche high school life. I wasn't bullied, I wasn't picked on. We were the cool kids at the school.
He was also a young Army cadet. He was on his way to being a multicultural alloy forged in the Canadian melting pot. But then a seemingly minor event changed everything in his life. He threw a party behind his parents' back and got caught.
And I thought to myself, how can I possibly salvage my reputation? And then it clicked. I have to get religious. Because I could see, looking back in my cultural context, people who were religious were looked upon with respect.
Mubin traveled to India and Pakistan. For 6 months, he interacted with Muslims, exploring his faith.
You know, you would stay in the mosque, you would encourage people to come and pray, to listen to your talks, walk around the local area, you know, proselytizing to other Muslims. Telling them, look, the way to succeed in this life and the next life is to follow the commandments of Allah as shown by the way of the Prophet alayhi salam. One day, I was walking and I saw some guys from afar, beards, turban. As I started to come close, I realized these guys are armed. They have rocket-propelled grenades, machine guns, belts of ammunition. And so I gave them my spiel of, this is how you change the world. They listened politely, and then he picked up his AK-47. He says, this is how you change the world. And we're doing that right now. And I thought to myself, wow. And I was completely enamored by them at that stage. I was bit by the jihadi bug, as I call it. They're offering this totalitarian solution that has very neatly defined boxes and who's legitimate and who's not. It's very orderly. And for somebody who is in this chaos, that order is worth its weight in gold.
When Mubin Sheikh came home in 1995, he was far down the road to extremism and possibly violence.
I move into more politically active, extreme Muslim types, further deepening and solidifying and anchoring of my views. I recruit other kids. I'm preaching this jihadi mentality.
For the next 6 years, he devoted himself to the cause and wondered how he might join the fight. He saw friends go to the Middle East. Some did not return. And he had the opportunity to go himself.
Now I was exposed to people who could get me to Yemen. Just say the word, Mubin, and we'll have you go. And I was on that line, and I could have at any point gone.
He was a radical, but a radical with some nagging doubts.
The things that kept me from that was stable home environment. Both my parents were there. I had a relatively good education. I had a very good cross-cultural experience. So the idea of hating kuffar, non-Muslims, to the point where I can just kill them wantonly, that was difficult to get around, because they were my friends. They were people that I knew and I interacted with.
On the morning of September 11th, 2001, Mubin Sheikh woke up a radicalized extremist. He had not committed any acts of violence, but he was a true believer in Islamic-inspired terrorism.
Everyone remembers where they were. I mean, it was a life-changing event. I was watching it on TV. My wife, people were calling my house saying, "Hey, do you see what happened to..." The joke was, "Are you sure?" My wife says, "You sure you didn't have anything to do with this?" I was back and forth with even my bad friends. And even from them, there was this awkward silence where somebody says, "Yeah, but those are innocent people. How do you justify that?" And there was this moment where nobody knew what to say. But that was the moment I decided, I'm out of this. It's ridiculous.
So he booked another trip to the Middle East, this time to Syria, to further study Islam. He met the right imam at the right time. Mubin Sheikh had what psychologists call a cognitive opening.
We started talking, and he realized that, I was this Western kid, looking the way that I looked, big beard, long robe. For whatever reason, decided, hey, I'm gonna work on this guy. And, I spent a lot of time with him, and led me through the Quran, man, verse by verse by verse.
As he learned the context of the...
So I'll stop it there. What I found the most interesting about this is when he said, and it really is fascinating, like when he said that chaos, right? He said something like, our world is full of chaos and confusion, right? And there's all these expectations and things like that. And when the Islamic group kind of had everything in neat boxes, it was like, this is the right thing, this is the wrong thing, these are the good people, these are the bad people, this is what we do, and everything was clear. That order, he said, it's worth its weight in gold. And it's just so interesting to hear someone, because I think sometimes we think it sounds crazy, right? That like, how can anyone like get involved in that? But kids do, and kids who are looking for answers and come from abusive families and poor neighborhoods, and they don't like the chaos around them, they reach out, and this kid did that. And how lucky for him, he didn't actually do anything, because if he would have ended up a life in jail, or would have been killed at war if he would have went to Yemen and got involved in a terrorist group. And it's just crazy to think that someone could do that. And I just wanted to show that video to kind of show how terrorism, whether we understand it or not, how it does grow in some people, and why that stuff happens. It's almost like some of the best ways to fight terrorism, or the growth of it, where people become radicalized, is to be kind and accepting to them here in our culture, and then they won't feel the need to do something like that. Tomorrow, we're going to continue this conversation, but we're going to do it specifically talking about September 11th. I wanted to give like a foundational talk before we got into September 11th. And then tomorrow we talk about September 11th. I also watched Jack Ryan. I loved the first season. The second season was okay, but it's a good show. Highly recommend it. Yeah, so that's it. Are there any questions? Don't forget your reading. You don't have to do your reading today. It's for today and tomorrow, so you have 2 full days to do that and answer those questions, so at your own leisure. I'm not going to play the question of the day song. I'll do that on Wednesday when I actually have a question. Right now it's just a reading. So there you go. Ryan saying, did I not get the joke? Well, yeah, that season of Jack Ryan. What joke? I don't understand. What's Jack Ryan? Jack Ryan is a Netflix show about, it's an author named Tom Clancy wrote a book about a CIA agent. And his name is Jack Ryan. And it's a TV show on Netflix. There's also some movies about him. But it's not bad. So there you go. All right. That's it, guys. I think we're done. Anything? Look at this cute kid's haircut. Look at this guy's haircut. Oh, look at that.
I'm
It's
a galaxy
adorable.
boy.
All right. Tomorrow we'll talk about 9/11. So there you go, and that's it today. I got nothing else. I've been here. I've been live for 45 minutes.
I have something.
49 minutes. You said you watched the season of Jack Ryan, so I said yes. That season of Jack Ryan was good because, because it was like you said my name. Yes, that's true. I got your joke
I
now.
have something good to share.
What? What'd you get to share?
Oh, it's just gonna take me 20,000 years to get out of my
Then we're not saying it. All right.
20,000 years later. Okay.
Now's not the time for a joke, though, because we're talking about terrorism. Bye, people. Jack, Coma, Ryan. Farewell. Bye, Vicky. Bye, guys. See you guys tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Olivia, don't be sleeping late. No, not Olivia. Allie, DiMatteo, don't be sleeping late now. Be waking up early. Tell Spencer I expect him here tomorrow. Farewell, guys. Bye, guys. Oh, I do have my outro. We'll play that. Here we go.